we're going to have a conversation now about something that you probably talk about all the time in cafes. Well, not all the time, but you probably often talk about it with friends when you're off duty, when you're not at work, or with family, when you're not at work. We're going to talk about it with some professionals right now. This is something that most professionals don't talk about openly. So, please will you join me in welcoming our panelists, Angie Gefen, Rebbeca Harisson, and Yonish. First of all, I'd just like you to tell me, or to tell us, who you are and what you do and where you do it. And then we're going to ask the big question, and we're going to have a little chat.
My name is Angie Gefen. I'm the Director of Marketing Communications at Spiral Solutions. We specialize in online and print marketing for the gaming industry.
שלום, שמי יוניש, ואני המנהלת מרקום של חברה בשם Afimilk, שמה שאנחנו עושים זה מערכות חליבה ממוחשבות.
Hello, my name is Rebbeca Harisson, and I'm VP Marketing at Commtouch Software, an internet security solution provider, and soon to be opening my own marketing consultancy, The Lean Marketer.
If you could go back in time to the beginning of your career, to your first day in your first job, knowing everything that you know now, what advice would you give to the young you for how to have either a happier or a better or whatever, for how to do things differently? Let's just hear from each of you and then we'll open it up.
I would definitely say that one of the things I follow until today, after 16 years in the industry, is plan the work, then work the plan. You find yourself in the beginning of your career having executives and VPs sitting over your head, interested in getting things out to the market as quickly as possible and as influential as possible. And you find yourself trying to please their deadlines. But in the end of the day, you realize that your end product could have been so much better had you taken a moment to plan your project properly. It's us in the marketing world who understand what it takes to get campaigns live, what it takes to get print products live and out to the doors. And then when the end products are there and live for the next year and everyone will see your work, you'll always remember that you didn't take the time to do it as well as you could have. So my biggest recommendation is take the time, dissect the project, think of all aspects and angles, and then work it out. By the end of the planning, you'll be able to present to the executive team what your real timeline is for live. And when it's done on time and professionally, that's what they'll remember. So that will really help you in your career.
Thank you very much. And did you always do that at the beginning of your career, or was this a lesson learned through suffering?
Well, there's definitely a difference in between working in New York City and working in Israel. In Israel, a lot of the executives expect to have everything done yesterday, which is a good thing because we are industry leaders in this country. But what I do realize is that when you come and you present yourself as a professional and explain the path you need to take to get that campaign live properly, they appreciate you more. And I would say somewhere around the third or fourth year, I realized if those products are not going to be perfect and live, I will never represent myself as a true professional in marketing. So that was when.
Very nice. Thank you very much. And the same question to you. What would you have told yourself when you started your career if you knew then what you know now?
אני חושבת שאחד הדברים שלמדתי, ולמדתי בשנים האחרונות, זה העניין של כל מה שקשור לתקציב. המרקום הוא הוצאה. אנחנו מוצאים כסף, אין מה לעשות. אנחנו מוצאים כסף בשביל להכניס כסף, בשביל to support sales, אבל אנחנו גוף שמוציא כסף. ולא תמיד קל לשכנע גם את החברה ובטח את המנהלים שההוצאות האלו הן תמיד חיוניות. מה שלמדתי זה שכשאני מתכננת תקציב, וזה באמת למדתי לאחרונה, אני חייבת מאוד מאוד להגזים. אני ממש שמה את כל הפנטזיות הכי פרועות שלי בתקציב, כשאני יודעת שאין סיכוי שאני אקבל לפעמים חצי, לפעמים שליש, לפעמים יותר. אבל אני יודעת מראש שאם אני שמה את כל הפנטזיות ואת כל מה שהייתי מתה לעשות, גם אם יקצצו לי חצי, אני עדיין אשאר עם נתח מספיק עבודה, מספיק גדולה, כדי שאני אוכל לעשות דברים. אז זה דבר מאוד חשוב שלמדתי, ודבר שני זה תמיד, תמיד, תמיד לסיים את התקציב. אף פעם אל תשאירו כסף, כי אז שנה הבאה יגידו, לא ניצלתם את הכל, ויתנו לכם פחות. אז זה משהו שמאוד מאוד חשוב לעשות.
So young and so cynical. Wonderful. And what would you have told yourself if you knew then what you know now?
Well, the first presenter actually really resonated with me because a lot of what I've learned over the years is what he presented for me, which is that you can have the most beautiful brochures, the greatest booth at the show, the coolest website, but if the product market fit isn't there, all of the wonderful Marcom materials in the world aren't going to help you sell your product. And the way to measure that is by tracking your marketing campaigns, how they lead to revenue. Your marketing is very often seen as a cost, an expense, but if you can then show how those expenses are translating into sales for your company, then you're going to have a much stronger leg to stand on the next year when you're asking for budget. The other thing that I would say that I've learned over the years is that even if your budget is cut down to almost zero, there are some amazing things that you can do in marketing, and I think we saw some wonderful examples of that, especially with the guerrilla marketing. You know, don't despair. It's not only about budget. Definitely inflate your budget, I agree. But if you don't have the budget, with some great people, great ideas, some elbow grease, there's some amazing things you can do. 2 things.
Wonderful. Now, this is an open question to all 3 of you. Let's say that there's a campaign done by a big company or a small company, which you see, okay? You're not involved, but you see it. And this company, this marketing team that you see their campaign, they clearly did not take the advice that you have just given. How do you know that they did not take the advice? How do you know that they did everything wrong according to what you've just described from the results of the campaign and from the work itself? Can you?
אם קמפיין עובר, פשוט עובר, אז בסדר, מישהו הוציא הרבה כסף על אד קמפיין, על אינטרנט קמפיין, לא משנה מה, ואף אחד לא מתייחס על זה, אולי חוץ ממך שאתה בודק מה הם עושים, אז סביר להניח שהם עשו פה משהו לא נכון והם עשו משהו לא טוב. אנחנו צריכים תמיד גם לבדוק, כי עוד פעם, כמו שאנג'י אמרה, השאלה היא מה הם ניסו להשיג. האם הם ניסו להשיג, אתה יודע, באז, האם הם ניסו להשיג איזושהי עליונות, זאת אומרת, השאלה באמת באמת הכי גדולה היא תמיד מה הניסיון בקמפיין הזה להשיג, כי לא תמיד אנחנו יודעים מה הם רוצים בשביל to judge it. אבל אני חושבת שאחת הדרכים הכי טובות של מישהו שמסתכל מהצד, זה באמת לראות כמה, זאת אומרת, כמה attention הקמפיין קיבל, והאם באמת אנשים מדברים על זה, האם אנשים call to action, האם אנשים עושים משהו בעקבות הקמפיין, אפילו אם זה להיכנס לפייסבוק, זה לא משנה בכלל מה, אבל האם הקמפיין יצר משהו שאנשים היו צריכים לעשות משהו בעקבותיו והם עשו את זה. אם לא, לדעתי יש פה בעיה והם לא השיגו את המטרה.
יופי.
I think the biggest problem with splashy campaigns done by competing companies is that a lot of times you'll get, the marketer will get that on their desk or in their email from the CEO or from the chairman of the board saying, well, look what so-and-so did, why don't we do that? And then you find yourself in a position basically of either having to do that, just like they did, or justifying why not. So the main thing I think for a marketer is to really keep in mind what your goals are, who you're targeting, what segments, what you're trying to accomplish. And if it's not a good fit for what you're trying to accomplish, you don't need to copy the big guy that spent a lot of money on a failing campaign. You may not know if it failed because you don't know, as my colleagues pointed out, you may not know what they were trying to accomplish. But if it's not right for your company and for what you're trying to accomplish, you don't need to copy it.
Great, thank you. Now imagine that a really, really sick person hired you to do some consulting for them. Specifically, they said, we want you to design a system, a way of working, a series of processes and protocols within a department, within a marketing department or within a company, which will guarantee the most possible conflicts and the worst possible work. How would you design, what would you advise them to do? What would you advise them to put into place to make sure everything will be a disaster?
You can start the project without a brief. That's disastrous. That's absolutely disastrous. If you find yourself working on something without a clear brief from the marketing strategy department, don't start at all. You will just make a fool out of yourselves, because that is what they're going to remember.
That's great. Now, hands up, how many times have you been asked to start a piece of work of some kind without a clear brief? Oh, that's scary.
And don't let them coerce you into having you write the brief, because when they ask you to write the brief, it's because they don't want to take the time to think about what they're investing into. Let them, even if it's just 1 page, 3 paragraphs, even if you give them, background, main marketing message, your target audience, just give them a basic skeleton. If they're filling it out, they'll believe in what you're doing, they'll be involved and engaged in what you're doing, and they'll believe in the results. So that's my serious recommendation. If you want a disaster, start without a brief.
Brilliant. So, number 1, start without a brief if you want a disastrous campaign, okay?
טוב, אני אשאר בעניין התקציב. תתחיל קמפיין בלי תקציב. או שיגידו לך, תעשה מה שבא לך. זה עוד יותר טוב, עוד יותר גרוע.
יהיה בסדר, כאילו.
כן. אם אתה רוצה להיכשל, תתחיל לבזבז כסף בלי שיתנו לך budget, בלי שיתנו לך לימיט, ואז יבואו אליך בטענות.
The drive for perfection that is so strong that the project never actually launches. I know it's important to plan the work and to work the plan, but there's a time when you also have to say, cut, this is ready, we're going out there.
Tell us more about this. Tell us more about why it's so important to not try to be perfect all the time.
You can fiddle with landing pages and AdWords and content and the way the brochure looks, etc. forever. I mean, you really can't. I mean, I think some of the people in this room, that might be why they went into marketing. It's fun. Photoshop is fun, reviewing brochure, it can be really enjoyable. But that's not why we're here. We're here to get the content out there. We're here to bring the leads in. We're here to analyze what's working, what's not working. You can be a perfectionist, you can be a Picasso and make sure that every line is exactly right, or you can actually get it done and execute. And it's not just about the strategy, and it's not just about the plan, it's about actually accomplishing what you set out to do.
Fabulous, thank you. If you could please just sum up each in 1 or 2 sentences what your primary advice is from what you've said today.
I would say, first of all, educate yourselves as professionals. Even if your companies don't give you education budgets, take the time, get on forums, read what the trends are, because you'll be the first one to be able to answer and justify why you did this campaign and how you built it, why you designed it, and how you laid it out. So first of all, education. Second of all, the brief. Make them understand within the company what is it they're doing and why they hired you, why you're doing what you're doing. They'll appreciate you for long term. And third of all, of course, let it go. She's absolutely right. There's a moment in time we have to say as a professional, when you know it's just good enough to go live, because you can't satisfy the world. You just have to satisfy the right marketing angle.
להוסיף למה שאנג'י אמרה, אני חושבת שקודם כל צריך לאהוב את מה שעושים. לאהוב את התחום הזה, לאהוב, להיות passionate about it, ליהנות ממה שאתם עושים. אני חושבת שצריך גם להיות כל הזמן גם עם היד על הדופק, אבל לעשות הרבה נטוורקינג, ובדיוק בסוג הכנסים מהסוג הזה אפשר המון ללמוד מאנשים שעושים עבודה דומה, גם למצוא ספקים טובים, גם לקבל רעיונות חדשים. זה תמיד טוב לשמוע, ללמוד, לבוא לכנסים, וכמובן to educate yourself. ודבר אחרון, אני הרבה פעמים נתקלת בעניין הזה של להסביר מה אני עושה בחברה, מה זה מרקום. מאוד חשוב לעשות PR לעצמך או לתפקיד שאתה עושה בתוך החברה, internally, ולא רק החוצה, כי ברגע שיקבלו אותך ויבינו את החשיבות של התפקיד בפנים, יהיה הרבה יותר קל לעשות את העבודה שלך וגם להוציא את זה החוצה.
First of all, I agree with everything that my colleagues have said here. I'll say it all again. My main point, I think, and it reiterates basically everything I've said, which is measure. Measure. We've heard it in a lot of the presentations today. Don't be afraid to dig into your Google Analytics. Don't be afraid to really get a sense of what's going on in your sales pipeline to understand where the opportunities that you've generated have come from, what the work that you've done in marketing has helped to generate revenue. That's how you're going to know if you've got product market fit, is if you're actually selling or generating leads that are moving through your pipeline. The only way to do it is through measurement, and I know a lot of times marketing is a lot of content creators and very sort of artsy people into design and that kind of thing. You sometimes do have to get technical, and it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. If you just face your fear and learn it and ask someone to show you or read up on websites and blogs, it's not as complicated as it sometimes looks from the outside, and it will help you immensely, both in terms of your own personal satisfaction with knowing what you're doing is working, and also in terms of your professional development.
יש לי להוסיף עוד דבר אחד, זה אנקדוטה, אבל אני חושבת שמאוד מאוד חשוב בסוג כזה של עבודה כמו שלנו, למצוא בן זוג תומך. כי אנחנו עובדים שעות ארוכות, ימים מטורפים, וחשוב התמיכה מבית כדי לעשות את העבודה כמו שצריך.
Thank you very, very much indeed to our panel. Thank you, Rebecca, Noah, and Angie.